Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Obhijit, you can start or you have to wait for some time?
Sir, it's your call, sir. Means we can have the call if you wish.
Okay. But you have said that list there are 33 participants, no? But in most of the classes it is less than 50% also. No
sir.
problem?
Sir, the usual strength that we have is 27 to 28, sir.
Pardon?
Sir, the usual strength.
Usual strength is 38.
No, sir. The usual strength goes up to 27 to 28, sir. And we
Okay.
have that kind of participation in every class. Means once you join the class, means from 7:35, we have 13 to 14 students, and in coming 10 to 15 minutes, all of the other students join, sir. So we have an strength up to 27 to 30 students in every class. Three students, sir. I regret to inform that three students are always missing from the class.
Okay.
So we can comfortably start with the class, sir, and once we move ahead with the class, further students will join. So we can start with the class, and afterwards we have the recording, and we share the recording to every student. So if any student missed any part of the class, they'll recope with the recordings that's available to them.
Okay, fine. Abhijit, for your information, the next class is on Sunday. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Actually, this is the first module I will be covering today. I will be completing most of the part of the first module. And second module related to robot kinematics and kinematics and associated topics will be covered by other colleague. I will send you email with their email address because there are total 5-6 faculties that all of us will be taking 4-5 around 3 to 4 hours classes. Okay.
Yes, sir. I'm aware of that.
I will be sending that to email address, but whatever link we will be sending, I will be coordinating from this side. You send them, but don't miss to give a copy to me. Okay.
Sure, sir. That will be done.
So that I will do. Actually, robotics itself, that course itself, it used to take 40 to 45 hours. So now, but here it is. Particularly our module is planned for 16-17 hours, I hope, maximum 20 hours. So within this short time, we will not be able to cover most of the thing because robotics, it needs a huge mathematical background as well as other some brief of other subjects. So I find that the students will get a overall idea, but if they want to go into depth, they need to do self-study and in that regards. Okay, so I will be continuing this class shortly.
Sure, sir. I understand what you say, sir, and I'm completely with you on this same thing. And you just let me know the email ID. I'll forward all the details regarding that to every email ID, having you in the CC, sir.
Yes. I will send an email to you, and then you forward the link for Sunday to them with a copy to me. Okay. Yeah.
Thanks, sir. Okay, sir. And we have the recording as well, so we'll forward them to each and every student as well.
Okay, fine. So, can you see my screen? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, can you
Yes,
see
sir.
my... Okay, so in our previous class, I think we have started about the basic modules of robots and what are the hardwares and various components of robotic system required to develop a robotic system for industrial applications or some other applications. So there we have also discussed about how the evaluation of evolution of various robotic systems took place, starting from a humanoid robot which has been developed by Honda, and they have developed, they named it as Ashimo, advanced step in integrated mobility. So further, we also have seen that how the development of manipulator took place, starting from 1960, where that Innovation Inc. has developed a very primitive manipulator, and then at present day we have seen that various industrial manipulators that are being used for various applications, starting from manufacturing and in completely hazardous environment, nuclear environment, all others. And probably you know that there are very promising companies like Fanuc Automation or KUKA Robotics or ABB Robotics or Motoman. So these are the pioneer in industrial robotics, and industrial robotics growth is taking place due to the contribution from this industrial sector. And these kind of robots that are being used for various industries, starting from foundry industry, where various type of operations like casting, help in casting, cleaning, then sand casting, then pouring of hot materials, then arranging of cast components or shifting of heavy materials, all these things. Apart from that, at present days, people are also using robotic system, industrial robotic system for 3D printing applications. Probably you are aware of 3D printing as you are students of smart manufacturing program. So 3D printing, then wire arc additive manufacturing, where robotic systems are being used in tandem with multiple robots are being used in tandem to get a complete shape of a particular part. Like if you want to manufacture the hook of a crane, so from 3D printing concept and applying 2-3 robo or single robo also with multiple reach so higher reach, that kind of component can be manufactured in a single operation only, without going for manufacturing or casting itself. But you need to see that whether this kind of requirement is a batch requirement or is a mass production requirement. Then only you need to analyze the cost feasibility and other aspects. So that some of the things has been covered in your previous classes, but I am just quickly go through this once again. So basic elements of robot that we have seen, that robotic hardware, so which is nothing but a mechanism for making the robot move through its environment, a computational platform for controlling the robot, and a collection of sensors. It plays a very important role for robotic system. Basically, whenever you are applying any automated or robotic system, you need to check the you need to get the feedback that what is your instruction and what the robot or instrument has performed. So based on that, based on the sensory information or feedback information, you can calculate the error associated with the system, and in the next step you will be able to provide the compensation for the error what has been accumulated in the up to the last step. So that's why sensor, just like our eyes and nose and ears, just like that. So sensor plays a very important role for any robotic or automatic system to get the feedback and to provide the corrections or compensation accordingly. Then communication hardware to enable the robot to communicate to a remote station operator and external computers. Like you are deploying a robotic system for nuclear environment. In that case, the communication plays a major role. So only using so that system might be tether or system might be wireless also. It might be tethered, it might be wireless also. So for teleoperated system, it is not a big issue. But the issue is there that if you use the cable length very high, in that case there will be attenuation loss and signal will be degraded, and finally the communication bandwidth will be reduced. So probably you know that there are various kind of protocols that are being used in case of a Tether system, just like RS-232 serial protocol or RS-485 serial protocol. So in RS-232 or RS-485, these protocols, it means to develop or it means to design to attain the cable length of various to attain or to utilize the cable of various lengths, so that if you use RS-485 protocol, you will get a communication up to a certain range. If you use RS-232 protocol, you will be able to utilize the length of the cable of a certain range. Or if you use the CAN protocol, okay, so CAN bus protocol, then you will be having cable length of certain restrictions. So depending on your application, that where the robot is placed and where from you are operating the robot, whether it is a remote application or the robot is working nearby you need to choose the protocol, whether it might be RS-232, whether it might be RS-485, or whether you need to use CAN bus or other things. Okay. So apart from hardware, the software or program plays a major role to understand the robot. Okay, you need to complete this operation at this moment, and steps of operation, sequence of operation that we will be understanding fast, and that understanding should be communicated to the robot through software program only. So motion control, considering the kinematic, dynamics, and path planning. So kinematics is nothing but it's a geometric relationship of the motion, and dynamics is associated with the force or torque that is required to get that motion. Okay, so just like if you think about a number of motors that are associated to control a robot manipulator. In that case, suppose a robot is having 3 links. Okay, just like our hand is having multiple links, a robot might have 3 links. So one might be shoulder, one might be elbow joint, another might be wrist. So in that case, 3 motors will be utilized, and that motor, how it will be operated, that depends on what kind of motion we need to generate with that robot, or what kind of application the robot will be utilized. So dynamics, if the robot operation is very fast, in that case, only relying on kinematic will not help to get the accurate motion of the robot. Accurate motion, I mean, so for your application, what kind of accuracy is needed? Just like if you think of, suppose joining of 2 plates. Okay, so it may happen that you are joining the 2 plate only doing simple spot welding. So in that case, the accuracy requirement is not so high. But if you want to make a profile cutting within in a plate, in that case, that it should be a continuous path generation, and the profile, suppose it is a circular profile cutting. In that case, the circular path should be followed by the robot at each and every instant, and robots should move in an accurate manner. So apart from if you find the application like spot welding sort of thing. So that's why accuracy is a requirement, is a relative matter, what kind of application we are looking for. So that's why the path planning is also an important thing. So whether when it is a spot welding application, in that case, in between 2 spots, in which way robot is moving, that is not important. But when it is a profile cutting, suppose you want to make a gas cutting with a robot, and you want to make a circular profile within that plate, in that case, path planning is very accurately required to carry out, and robot accuracy also should be comparatively high compared to the spot welding operation. So then, based on the sensor data acquisition and feedback, we can correct the error that is being accumulated at each and every step. Then motion controllers for controlling the joint motion. So based on the controller input, the voltage or current that will be sent to the motor, and each and every joint will be moved according to our instruction. And further, AI and machine learning for embedded intelligence. Nowadays, artificial intelligence and machine learning, these are playing a very important role. So in case of a very unstructured environment where we need to deploy a robot, it might be a very remote environment also. Like you are sitting here and you are working, a robot is working at a distance of 500 meters. So in that case, you will not be able to see the motion with your eye. In that case, you need to use the help of camera to see the operation of the robot, or the robot should be interfaced with AI based algorithm or machine learning based tools, so that if there is any if there is any obstacle, so it will be able to detect and it can take decision and it will be able to reach its final goal. So so that's why I have also discussed in our previous class that the sensor can be classified as proprioceptive sensor and exteroceptive sensors. Proprioceptive sensors, it provide the internal information of the body, just like position, velocity, acceleration, etc. And exteroceptive sensor, it provides the information about the environment, just like what is the temperature, pressure of outside environment, or what is the environmental view, or what is the range on bearing of the obstacle, such sort of thing. Like a ultrasonic rangefinder, what it does, it measures the range and bearing of an object, and then that information will be utilized to avoid the obstacle by the robot. Okay, so similarly, we use the proximity sensor so that a robot, it doesn't hit any wall or any solid object. So these are the design requirement that we have discussed in our previous class. So requirement is the very important. Suppose for a manipulator, we need to know what is the payload capacity, what is the maximum velocity it should move, and what will be the reach of that robot. Reach means what will be the vertical reach and what will be the horizontal reach maximum. So these three, four things. And what are other, if there is any other restriction, so suppose it is needed to operate in nuclear environment, in that case the material should be chosen accordingly. And if there is any weight restriction, in that case also we need to see that whether we can use materials like whether it might be aluminium or some special grade aluminium alloy like 6061 T6 or 7000 grade aerospace material, or some alloy like titanium alloy, all this. So this is required, but for each and every robotic system, we need to check that what is the payload it will be handling, what will be the maximum velocity in that case, or what will be the maximum acceleration. We will be able to know what will be the maximum momentum the robot will be subjected to, and in that case accordingly we need to design the structure of the robot so that it doesn't fail with the critical parameters when it is handling. So this evaluation already we have discussed that how in space robots also the development took place, and Indian Space Research Organizations, they are playing a vital role in this domain. So presently, for this mobile robot in manipulation system, these are being used in various soft floors, and at present, the present status is the autonomous mobile robot, which will have onboard intelligence, onboard power, and it is flexible. It should have flexible workflows, and it will be able to operate in a collaborative and faster manner. Collaborative means, suppose this robot, so suppose there is a work envelope, so this robot will be going for 100. Suppose the work envelope is of 300 by 400 meter, sort of, there is a workshop. In that case, one robot will be taking some material and it will hand over to another robot. And second robot will take the material to another station, it will hand over to another robot. That's why it is called collaborative, or sometimes it might be complementary also. So two robots is handling one heavy material, they are sharing the loads. Okay, so in that case we will be telling that it is collaborative as well as complementary. So various kind of development already took place, and KUKA Robotics is also a pioneer in this field. So this is also discussed, and for manipulator related to rotation matrix, associated mathematical modeling and kinematics of robots, that will be discussed by my colleague from the next class. And here I have shown you the this robo with different kind of nomenclatures what Yashica Electric Corporation is they are following, and this kind of nomenclature will be available at book also. In the next class we will be suggesting the books in robotics, where you will be having that kind of materials so that you can run through this. So robot manipulators we have discussed, but let us repeat it once again. So these manipulators are of two types: serial manipulators and parallel manipulators, and a combination of these two is the hybrid manipulators. So serial manipulators, this manipulator is a serial manipulator, so it has open link, but the robot it is not a closed link structure. It is serial manipulator, open loop mechanism. And this is a parallel manipulator. You can see this is the Stuart platform. So this kind of parallel manipulator is more robust compared to the open loop mechanism or open loop manipulator or serial manipulators. So, and another advantage of parallel link manipulator is that it can handle more load compared to the serial link manipulator. And third advantage is the Stuart platform or parallel manipulators are more accurate compared to the open loop or serial manipulators. And considering the joint of a robo, so it may have different kind of joints. The joints are primarily of two kinds. One is rotary joints and another one is prismatic joints. So rotary joints is just like a motor you are rotating. So, and motor rotation is being it is fitted with a gearbox, and then you will get the rotation as you desire based on the gearbox, or it might be fitted with the variable voltage, variable frequency, VB, VF converter also, so that depending on the frequency variation, you will be able to get various speed of that joint. So here in this manipulator, whatever has been shown, the structure of a robot manipulator, all the joints are rotary joints. That means motor is moving, motor is rotating, and these joints are also rotating. But sometimes we need to have a prismatic joints. Prismatic joints means the if you are using motor, rotary, simple motor. In that case, you need to convert the rotary motion into linear motion. So in that case, or you can use the linear motion guide to achieve to convert your rotary motion into linear motion that you require. So here people may also use the hydraulic package, hydraulic power packs to to get the linear motion of each and every joints. Just like in case of a Stuart platform, you can see that each joint is having a prismatic motion as well as a rotary motion also. So that's why it is a combination of prismatic and rotary both. So so Stuart platform is a very important example of parallel manipulators, and due to some other requirements, people are also going for hybrid manipulators, which are a combination of open and closed loop manipulators. So already you are aware that fourth industrial revolution already it has took place, and now we are looking for fifth industrial revolution. So first industrial revolution is mechanization, water power, steam power. These are the major development. Second industrial revolution, so people used to have mass production, assembly line, then electricity, mass production of automobile industry, various cars, and where the use of robots is gradually also increasing. So when the automation and computer and automation, these two things came up during 90s. So from that point onwards, the mass production took place, and this kind of robotic system or manipulators that were being used for welding of this kind of manipulators in automobile industry, oiling of cars in automobile industries. Now, fourth revolution is related to the cyber physical system, and probably we will be also get the information shortly that present requirement is the collaboration between the human and robot, where the basic objective is not to reduce the manpower of the industry, but to jointly work together. The robot and human being, they will work together, joining hand in hand, and in that way it will be possible. It will be possible to increase the efficiency of a particular industry as the business progresses gradually. So 5 factors is supporting the growth of robotics. So first one is collaborative robots in the automation industry. So as we said that collaborative robot which can work in collaborative mode or complementary mode, joining hand in hand, and with all the automated features, like it will have intelligence, it will have own power system, and it will be able to move along a guided path, or if you impart further intelligence, then it will be able to avoid the obstacle also. So robotics as a service, as a new business model. So here in most of the Indians' perspective, people are also going for development of service robots, so that because service robots are still a ever-growing field. Industrial robotics, that domain is mostly being matured, but service robotics field, it's still a green. Still, there are a lot of scope to further develop in that domain. And in India also, people are going for developing or carrying out research in service robotics, so that we can have some hold within a shorter time. Then artificial and machine learning, these are two important part. Cloud computing, these are the modern tools where embedding of this kind of tools in robotic application to make the machines or to make the robot intelligent, and application of the robot in various domain. Then mobile autonomy in the logistic industry, just like what we said, that Flipkart or Amazon. So they are deploying mobile robot with manipulator also, and to carry out their operation faster, and to increase their efficiency and as well as profit. Then cloud robotics to make lighter, cheaper, and smarter robots. So these are the modern tools. So gradually people will be able to learn, and they will be able to apply in the industrial domain to make the efficiency, to increase their efficiency, as well as to make more profit. So global market, it is showing a growth which is really inspiring. So the global market for robots is expected to grow at a compound annual growth rate of 26% to reach just under 210 billion US dollars by 2025. So if we see the robotics and automation in manufacturing, so there are number of questions. So are these robots are too expensive for businesses? Then second question, also a lot of so researchers, they are also, or a lot of industrialists, they are also looking for, is business too small to make use of robotics? And the third question is, are robots difficult to program and operate? And fourth question is, will robotics cost human workers their jobs? So these are very basic questions, and we need to tackle, or we need to handle the robot, or we need to deploy the robots in industry, whenever we'll be able to justify these questions. So robotic automation can be used across industries by many types and sizes of manufacturing. So it helps manufacturers to save money and create efficiencies to scale their businesses. So this is very important. So it helps to save money and create efficiency to scale their business. So robotic automation has found its way into many different areas of manufacturing, starting from welding, assembly, shipping, handling raw materials, and product tracking. So this is robotic welding, and in automobile industry, or those who are in heavy industries, or those who are working in foundry related or casting industries, they have seen use of robot in their industries. And automobile is very long back. Automobile industries have adopted the robotic system for faster production, as to make their profit multiple times. And just like if you think of the spot welding of a robot car, of a car chassis, there are almost hundreds of spot welding required, or more than that, and that is being carried out by robot at a very faster rate compared to the human being used to do. So and this is also a tedious operation, repetitive operation, so it will be very difficult to the human being to carry out that job. So that's why the robot is the ideal platform to carry out that kind of applications. So robotics are also being used at present for 3D printing, and for wire, arc additive manufacturing, and various other applications that we'll be looking for shortly. Just like if you see that this is a wire arc additive manufacturing. So here, using a robot, people are developing a single component which might be very difficult to machine, or if you use a blank of a very hard material, which might be very difficult to machine. And in that case, the additive manufacturing or 3D printing, it will help to develop that kind of material within the technique of wire arc additive manufacturing. So just like if you think of the turbine shaft, so where the erosion took place in case of a power plant, where turbines are being used and turbine blade or shaft get eroded. So in that case, the robots for additive manufacturing, through laser threading operation with the help of a robot, so that can be repaired. So present day, this kind of robotic systems are very common around globe, and some of the industries in India also, they are developing, or they have deployed that kind of robot to repair the costly components which may not be possible with the conventional method. So at CMERI also, we are using laser welding at CMERI with the help of ABB robot, which is around 600 watt capacity. So robot for additive manufacturing nowadays, the use of robot for additive manufacturing is growing day by day, and of course, it is a great step to achieve the components like crane hooks or other single component at a reasonable price compared to the other methods, if the number of quantity is more. So foundry robots can perform in a variety of applications, including but not limited to die casting, gravity casting, sand casting, then finishing, water or chemical cleaning, forging. Okay, so and the major manufacturers of foundry robots are Motomen, Fanuc, KUKA, and ABB. So apart from that, modern foundries are constantly looking towards improving efficiency with the use of this, Fanuc, KUKA, or ABB robots, and increase of efficiency, then flexibility, and to improve the workspace safety, because the temperature of a foundry shop normally when the casting took place, it is really very high, and it's become difficult for a human being to sustain the temperature in that environment. So that's why the workplace safety is also very important, and human beings are not subjected or not so it is not feasible for a human being to operate in an dull, dirty, dangerous, and difficult environment. So that's why it will be gradually people are replacing the human being in foundry shop with the robot to increase their efficiency. Replacing, I mean, it is not taking their job, but they are deploying robot to increase the efficiency, to increase the productivity, and to increase their profit. So here are two robots that suppose this one is from iRobotics. So you can see that hot metal is being deployed, and this is a robot where you can see that casting components are being are being arranged in a manner what way you require. The robotics is basically save money and time. So robots first started being used in industry in the early 1960s. So where in our history of robotics, we have seen that Innovation INC, they have developed the first primitive industrial manipulator. Then robots can now be installed in less time and less cost. Now, a lot of robots, this has become, modular, and programming also becoming easy. So it is not that to, deploy any robotic system, the people who is working with the robot or who will be utilizing that robot, he needs to know from A to Z. It is not required. Only he needs to know how to operate the robot with the help of a GUI. GUI is the graphical user interface. So he needs to know that what will be the initial, starting point, and what will be the goal point, and how the instruction will be passed to the robot. So robot can now be installed in less time and less cost. Increased sale have seen the prices come down dramatically, and built-in state-of-the-art facilities in the robotic system are being deployed nowadays. Basically, all the electronics components are being, miniaturized day by day, and the size of the robotic system is also becoming, compact, but the capacity is also increasing. So, robots feature quality enhancements and regulated safety standards, and above factors lead to saving on labor cost and unscheduled downtime. So it is not possible for a human being to work for more than 8 hours in a day, and robot can be deployed for 24 hours in a day, and which will basically increase the production rate, minimizing the downtime, and as a whole, it will increase the efficiency, productivity, as well as profit of that industry. So robotics are scalable. Robots are used in high production, high volume environments, and can also scale down to be used in growing businesses. So modern robots can be used in low to medium volume manufacturing environments. Robot can be programmed and set up for new tasks quickly, and mobile bases allow them to be used in multiple areas of manufacturing facilities. So just like in our first class, we have shown that the robot which can be deployed in manufacturing environment, okay, for inspection purpose, and if that component is qualified for inspection, dimensional inspection, then that can be transported to a particular place to for further utilization. So mobile bases allow them to be used in multiple areas of manufacturing facilities. Just like here, you can see the KUKA robot, which is attached with a manipulator is deployed over that. And this platform can be used separately, or manipulator can also be used separately. But as a whole, these two can be interfaced, and it can be utilized in an integrated manner for various applications. So robots are easy to program. So learning of complex programming language to teach robots are not required or essential. If you are a robot developer, then it is required. Otherwise, for application point of view, it is not required that you need to know the complex programming of the robot. So some of you may be acquainted with operation of CNC machines. So you need to know all the details. Okay, you need to know what are the steps the machine need to follow to carry out a particular operation. In that case, you can use the G code or M code wherever it is required. In case of robotics application also, a person who will be working with the robot, he should know how to operate the graphical user interface and how to enter the coordinates for a particular application, particular desired application. So normally the robot programs can be achieved in two easy methods. One is offline programming. So offline programming, it is a you need to model a complete cell or work envelope and develop the sequence of moves for a particular task. So this is the offline programming, and after checking this, that program can be directly fitted in the robot to carry out that kind of operation. So this offline programming is very useful to avoid any accident also with the real robot. So you can check it, and then you, after satisfaction through simulation, you can load this program into the real world. Then teach pendant based operation or teach pendant based operation of the robot. Here, a programmer simply guides the robot through a sequence of steps. With some fine tuning, the instructions are stored and it runs to the program slowly to check for collisions with objects or humans. After multiple tests, the robot operates at full speed. So probably you have seen some of the gantry robots that are installed in some power plants or some steel plants. So there, whenever that kind of robots are operated, so it is being operated with the help of teach pendant. So like as I said, that if you have a thick plate of 50 mm and diameter might be 5 meter, and you want to make a you want to cut a diameter of 4 meter circular diameter, circular profile. In that case, the gantry robot has to move accordingly. So that can be achieved with the help of teach pendant also. So you move the teach pendant based on with the help of teach pendant, you move the end effector of the robot along that circular path or trace the circular path, then store the information into your hard disk, and then real operation you start with that information what are being stored. So that's why it is a basically you teach the robot and apply. The robot has learned based on your teaching, and then robot will be able to function based on that information. So this is very important, and lot of automated systems where there is a risk of accident or confidence is not 100%. 100% confidence is not there. In that case, it is always advisable to teach the robot or automated system with the help of teach pendant, and then utilize that information for practical application. So robotics creates more jobs. It is not that robotic system that take away the job of the laborers or the professionals. So let's manufacturing compete by creating more jobs in robotics and associated fields. Programming, so the jobs might be in the domain of programming, who are developing new robots for various industrial applications. It might be service robots, just like if you want to inspect a ship hull. Okay, so in that case, you need to have underwater robots which might be utilized for inspection of ship hull. Okay, that is a completely unstructured environment. In that case, you need to know what is the what kind of damage took place in that ship hull. And it's a if it is a very big ship, each and every all through the surface of that ship, you need to be inspected with the help of robot. So multiple robot can do that operation within shorter time. And if you are using a single robot, in that case, the operation time will be comparatively high, and you need to interpret the data also. So programming is a very essential part of robotic system. Then engineering to make the robot more compact or lightweight to achieve the same desired goal. Then end effector design. So what kind of material the robot will be able to handle, whether it is a magnetic material or non-magnetic material, or whether the end effectors should have dexterity properties. That means will have the sensing of force. So just like to handle the soft materials like apple or eggs. So you need to apply the force of the end effector in that way, so that it doesn't or damage the object it is handling, or to handle a particular glass. Okay, so in that case, the rigidity of the end effector or the force what will be applied by the robot end effector to the object, it also matters. So programming, engineering, end effector design, then operators, then data analyst, okay, robot manufacturing. These are the domain where jobs are increasing day by day, and people will have scope to get engaged in the robotics industry and to carry out that kind of job. So, and system integration these are the domain of domain of robotics market. Then humans are needed to help service the machines. The robots also protect workers from having to do repetitive, mundane, and dangerous tasks. So as I said, robotic or automated systems are applicable for 4D environment, so difficult, dull, dirty, and dangerous. So save on cost is enhance production and remain competitive. And ROI, that means return on investment, can equal growth that not only increases profits but creates jobs for a community and savings for customers. So the essence is that the robotics, in the induction of robotics or deployment of robotic system for industrial applications, it has a lot of scope in increase the efficiency, productivity, and profit of the business enterprises. It also creates a lot of avenues for programming professionals, then engineering professionals, end effector related to design and structural analysis. Then operators will be operating robots, the data analyst, whatever the data that will be collected by the robot, that has to be interpreted. Then manufacturing of robot and system integration as we need it. So this robotic system, the basic modules, I have given some glimpse, but here again, if we repeat, so these are the kinematics. So kinematics, again, I am telling, it deals with the motion of the robot. Okay, so every robotic system is defined by a coordinate system. The coordinate systems are of two types. So coordinate systems which is fixed, these are known as global coordinate system, and which is attached with the link, and that link is moving. In that case also, we are fitting a coordinate system with the moving link. So that is known as body coordinate system or moving coordinate system. So robotics, that body coordinate system in with the help of body coordinate system. So that basic importance of that coordinate system is that the velocity or acceleration that are being measured with the help of body coordinate system. And position of a robot, it might be a standalone manipulator, it might be mobile robotic system, just like mobile robot or tagged vehicle. The position of any robot, it is measured with the help of global coordinate system or fixed coordinate system. So for a robotic system, we need to know what is the significance of fixed coordinate system, and moving coordinate system. These are also known as global coordinate system global coordinate system and body coordinate system. So dynamics, so kinematics, as we said, it is the relationship of the motion, and dynamics, it is a study of the force or torque that is required to be provided to the actuators to develop that kind of motion which has been described by kinematics. Then task and path planning, as we said, that if it is spot welding, then the robot need to move or need to move through their spots, but in between path of the two spot is not important. So that's why the task and path planning plays an important role. But when the robot is needed to cut a profile like circular profile or straight line profile, in that case the path planning plays an important role, and robot needs to behave in an accurate manner, and it needs to have feedback so that any error accommodated in the previous sampling instant, it can correct or compensate that error. Then software, it is required to talk with the robot. What you desire, that has to be expressed with the help of a software program. So sensor, it is required for perception or feedback control. Whatever instruction has been provided or whatever you require to carry out, in that case you need to have a feedback of that I need to move the robot in this position, but robot at present it is at this location. So what is the error from that desired position and current location? So that error needs to know, and accordingly the feedback will be sent to the actuators, and required voltage or torque or force will be generated, okay, which will be communicated to the actuator. Then control system is basically very important, so which is achieved with the help of the plant or process that needs to be controlled, and with the feedback we used to have with the help of sensors. And of course, the primary thing is the electromechanical structure design. So as you are looking after for robotic or automated system, so it is a completely mechatronic system where there will be mechanical structure considering the strength and rigidity of the system, and there will be number of electronic interface or hardwares which will be through which we will be able to implement the automated features which we require to which we require for a particular or domain of applications. So these are the basic modules. So here you can see that this is for a robotic system. These are very important. So first you need to select the robotic system for what application you will be designed for, and then you need to you need to carry out a primary design. Then you need to choose the actuators, energy system, that whether it will be teleoperated or whether it will be using conventional power, or you will be looking for remote robotic system, or you will be looking for autonomous robotic system. If it is an autonomous robotic system, it should be powered by battery, and battery will have a battery are of different kind. If you want to make the robot lighter, in that case you need to use lithium polymer battery, which will have high energy density, and lead acid battery might not be so suitable for robotics application. Even the battery should be rechargeable also. So energy source, you need to choose the energy source. Then you need to calculate the system weight, and if you find that system weight is more whatever is desired, in that case you need to reiterate. You need to study the hydrodynamic of that system, or you need to do the computational fluid dynamic modeling, so that you will be able to make your system slim through this analysis. Suppose whatever rough calculations you have made for your primary design, you can fine tune it with the help of hydrodynamic modeling or computational fluid dynamic modeling. Then the robot should have a reliable sensor or vision system. It will have an advanced controller. It will have a communication module. As I said, that it depends on what kind of application you are looking for. If you are looking for application of a robotic system which is resided 500 meter from here or 200 meter from here, you will not be able to see the operation of the robot visually. In that case, you need to take the support of the camera or vision system. So and communication protocol will be very important. The protocol might be of different kind, whether it will be RS-232 protocol or RS-485 protocol, or whether it will be a CAN bus. So that part will be discussed by my colleague in the subsequent classes also. So here I am giving you a glimpse that what kind of components a robotic system must have, and that's why it is a multidisciplinary paradigm. And to develop a robotic system, people should have, or the team should have idea, or to should have expertise in these domains. And finally, the navigational guidance and mission planner, that how you will be moving your robot or what kind of application the robot will be applied. So yes. Yeah.
So what is the full form of CFD?
Computational fluid dynamics.
Okay, sir.
So probably you have heard about this, no? CFD.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So who is online, please? What's your name?
Sunil Gupta, sir.
Achha, okay, fine.
Okay.
So these are in a simplified form. So a robotic system or a automated system will have mechanical structure. So like a robot which is needed to handle a payload of suppose 60 kg or 100 kg. In that case, the structure should be strong enough. So you cannot say that this is a strong structure. We need to do some analysis. So it might be finite element analysis, or it might be with the help of some probably you have heard about the software package like CATIA, or you have heard about the Adams package, or some sort of SolidWorks. So these kind of packages are required to carry out the analysis of robotic system. So CATIA or Adams or SolidWorks. So these are the things. So here the mechanical structure, this is the backbone, just like our you can see our structure. So that mechanical structure should be strong enough to handle the payload of suppose around 100 kg, and not only the 100 kg, you need to know what is the velocity the robot will move. So in that case, that will play also that will also induce a additional factor of strength and rigidity calculation for strength and rigidity calculation. So you need to do some dynamic simulation for that. If the robot is moving at a very low speed, okay, then dynamics may not play important role. But when the robot is moving at a very faster rate and handling a very high payload, in that case, dynamics would be incorporated to plan the motion of the robot. And you need to do critical analysis, that what kind of structure, what will be the material, what will be the thickness, and all this. To make the robot lighter weight, you need to look for high strength materials which will be lightweight but strength will be higher. Just like you have heard about aerospace grade aluminum alloy 7000 series or 6000 series, just like 6061 T6 or titanium alloy. So their density of this aluminum alloy is 2.7 gram per cc, and titanium is probably in the tune of 5.5 gram per cc. But strength of titanium is more compared to steel. Steel is 7.8 gram per cc. So people will go for aluminum alloy or titanium to develop robotic system if the life of the robot required is more and it needs to be a lightweight. So but cost of development will be obviously more. So depending on what kind of application you are planning to deploy your robot, that is very important, and what will be maximum payload, what will be the reach, and what will be the reach of the robot. Means just like our hand will have a when you make the hand straight, that is the reach of our hand total, and when you will make folded, so that is within the work envelope, but reach is reducing. So maximum reach is when you are stretching the robot arm to this full extent. So mechanical structure is very important, and analysis is very important. So you need to analyze at a preliminary level, then you need to see whether you are getting the actuators what you have primarily calculated. If you are not getting, then you need to check that okay, I have to take the next level actuators. In that case, again you have to do some iteration. What will be the mechanical, what will be the impact of changing the actuator on that strength and rigidity calculations. In that case, the structure, there will be some change in structural dimensions also. So what I mean that finalization of mechanical structure, finalization of actuator, it will not be possible at a single step. Suppose you are doing a primary design, then you need to simulate once, then you see whatever actuator you are choosing for your application, whether that is available or not. If that is not available, you go for another actuator which might have equivalent capacity, and then you put your actuator again in your mechanical system and see whether that actuator, with that actuator you are able to keep the dimension of your mechanical structure same as you primarily designed. If not, if it is changing, then you again need to analyze and see whether the system is safe or not. Then sensors, what kind of sensors will be required? So every robotic system will have position sensors, velocity sensors. That means positional information the sensor needs to measure. And of course, for obstacle avoidance, you need to incorporate some sonars. That means sound, navigation, and ranging, that kind of sensors. And power system, every robotic system will have it might be AC power, or depending on type of actuators or sensors you are using, you might have to go for DC power also. Suppose if you have a AC source and you don't have DC power, in that case you need to use AC to DC converter to convert your AC power into DC power. And of course, the controller is a very primary requirement of any robotic system, control system, because control system it incorporate the plans. Plans means the actual system what you will be controlling, and that controller will also integrate the sensors through which it will get the feedback that what instruction has been provided by the operator to the robot, and where the robot is, how the robot is functioning. So that basic difference or basic error, it will be communicated to the controller, and controller will it will basically provide the compensation to the system, so that the way you are planning to see that robot should behave in that way. Accordingly, the controller will be helping you to get the desired behavior of the robot. So here you can see that process, control system, program of instruction, and power. These are the very important part of an automated system. So here the controller part, it has been elaborated. So this is the input. Input means the reference signal, and that reference signal it is also in this summer you can see that the information from sensor is being collected. So from the reference signal and information from sensor, you can calculate what is the error associated, and this error it will be going to the controller. So that controller will be needed to develop. It might be simple PID controller. PID, probably you have heard about it. It is proportional integral derivative controller. Or robotic system, it is a completely non-linear system, because it is nonlinear system. I mean that input and output relationship is not linear. Okay, so just like you know that equation of a straight line is y equal to mx. So if you see that x is your input and y is your output, then y equal to mx, it will give you an input output relationship, linear input output relationship. But when it is non-linear, that means there are a lot of complexity and there are dynamic equation. It contains trigonometrical terms like cos, sine, or there are multiple multiplication of state variables. Just like position. Already we have discussed. Just like a ambassador, it can be described by three parameters. One is x coordinate, another is y coordinate, and the orientation in when it is moving in a planar surface. So in that case, in case of a robotic system, just like a manipulator, so whenever we will be defining the coordinate system, we need to define the degree of freedom of the system. So degree of freedom for a manipulator, maximum degree of freedom for a manipulator, it might be x, y, z and the phi theta psi. Okay, so phi theta psi is the rotation, phi is the rotation with respect to x axis, theta is the rotation with respect to y axis, and psi is the rotation with respect to z axis. So every suppose this robotics, any manipulator, it is a robotic system, and manipulator end effector will have maximum 6 degree of freedom, 3 linear x, y, z and 3 rotational. So this degree of freedom, whenever you see the dynamic equation of a manipulator, so you will find that this degree of freedom, that x, y, z and phi theta psi, this multiplication of lot of degrees of freedom are taking place. So that's why the equation of a manipulator is highly non-linear. So that's why PID controller may not be suitable in most of the cases. You need to have some non-linear controller for that. So non-linear controller is like feedback linearization controller, then sliding mode controller, then robust outer loop controller. These are the non-linear controllers which might be utilized for control of robot. Okay, I am not discarding that PID cannot be used, but PID controllers can also be used with lot of primary analysis. So in this slide, I wanted to already we discussed the modules of robotic systems, but these are the basic components that requires to develop a automated system. Okay, just like structure, a vector actuator, sensors, ACDC power, control and program. So I am giving you a glimpse of a manipulator. So this is a robotic system which we have developed at CMERI for some organization. So this is a SCARA type robot. Okay, so you can see the height of this robot is approximately 2 meters. So you can see that this is the motor fitted with the different joints of the robot, and there are basically 4 links. So this is the vertical link, through which the overall assembly, this part, it can move up and down. So this base can also rotate. Okay, so this base can also rotate. What I mean that overall base rotation, and it is not it is less than 360 degree. It is not complete rotation. If it is more than 360 degree, then the problem will be the cable will be getting entangled. Okay, so it is a teleoperated robot. It's a teleoperated robot, and SCARA configuration. Already I have discussed what is SCARA. SCARA is Selective Compliant Assembly Robot Arm. There are 2 variations of manipulator mainly. One is Puma and another one is SCARA. In my first lecture, we have discussed that. So this is a SCARA configuration. So there are 4 degrees of freedom of this. So one is this one. Sorry. The overall assembly can move up and down. So this base can rotate so this is a rotational motion, that this arm can move up and down along this column. So that motion has been achieved with the help of rack and pinion attachment and linear motion guide. So these two are linear motion guide which have been taken from THK Japan. And this is the arm which can move up and down, and this arm which can move with respect to this arm, it can carry out only rotational motion. And this is the end effector part. So this end effector can move with respect to this link, and it can confirm the rotational motion only. So this is not the original end effector. This is only a circular disc fitted with this. Now you can see that to assign the coordinate system of this robo, what kind of analysis has been performed. So that will be discussed by my colleague in the subsequent classes. So this coordinate placement at each and every link, it is not so easy appears. Okay, so people should have very depth in mathematics, and then it will be easier to understand. So this analysis has been performed, or this is normally being performed with the help of Denevit-Hartenberg coordinate transformation. Okay, so that rule will be described by my colleague from the next class onwards. So here there are 4 links, and how the coordinate system is assigned at each and every link. As I said that every robotic system will have 2 types of coordinate system. One is the global coordinate system or fixed coordinate system. So just like here, that you can see that x0, y0 and z0. This is the fixed coordinate system or global coordinate system. It is not moving. And other coordinate system, these are moving with the link. When the link is moving, that coordinate system is also moving. There is no relative motion between this coordinate system like x1, y1 and z1 and the link itself. It is rigidly fixed with that link. Just like here, you can see another coordinate system just like x3, y3 and z3. So this coordinate system is rigidly fixed with this link. It is moving with this link but rigidly fixed. So, but this global coordinate system x0, y0 and z0, this is not moving. That convention will be discussed in the subsequent classes. And the dynamics of this robot is, it expressed with the help of this equation. This is the overall torque or force required to provide motion in each and every joints. So this is a torque vector. I think you have some concept of vector. So this torque is a accumulation of various kind of forces. What is this? The first one is inertia force. I think all of you are accustomed with the Newton's law, no? So in case of a Newton's law, we know that mass into acceleration equal to force. So here also, this is the generic force vector. So here, this is some sort of, you can think of this is the mass and this is the acceleration. So Q double dot is the acceleration. So mass into acceleration will give you inertia force. Then this part will give you Coriolis and centripetal force. Okay. So Coriolis and centripetal force. And the last term is known as the restoring force. So probably all of you have, in your class 12 class or in your BTech class, that how to model a mass spring damper system. So there you have 3 kind of force. One is inertia force, another is damping force, another is spring force or restoring force. In this type of system also, this is a vector. So if there are 6 degrees of freedom, you will have 6 second order equations. So here, so this has been written in matrix and vector form in a compact manner. So this is the dynamic equation. So where the left side represents the generalized torque or force, and right side represents what are the force associated with it. So normally this is the inertia force, this is the centripetal and Coriolis force. Centripetal Coriolis, so this is basically centripetal Coriolis and damping also associated with it. And this part is the restoring force. Okay, and here it has been shown the basic position control system. So how the control system has been generated with the help of MATLAB software. In the MATLAB, are you acquainted with MATLAB? Probably some of you might be. So in MATLAB, there are some tools which are called Simulink tool. It is not required that you need to learn MATLAB or you need to use this Simulink only. So people can generate the programs with the help of C, C++, or nowadays the robot open source codes are also available. So where from people can generate the source code to operate a particular robot in a particular fashion. So here, so this position control system that was generated with the help of a Simulink platform in a MATLAB, and that has been implemented in the real robot. Okay, so this is one case study I have shown here just for your information, and in the subsequent classes, my colleague, he will be explaining that how the rotation matrix and kinematics of a robotic system will be you will be able to develop. Okay, so thank you so much. This is the last slide of my class today. Do you have any question, please?
No, sir.
Okay. So this is the first module. Almost I have covered most of the things. Okay, whatever time it has been allotted, almost I think around 5 hours we have taken. So these are the basic preliminaries, including the history, the growth and application of robotics in manufacturing industries, and how the evolution of robotics in different domains took place. What are the basic components of a robot, and what are the basic components of an automated system in that manner. So the participants, I think, have you gone through the topics what we have covered, or do you have any issue, or it is okay?
Sir, it is okay. If you have, if we have any questions, we will discuss you later.
Okay. Okay, then thank you so much, and we'll be